analysis done on that, and they said that the actual ground is like a ceramic. It's been baked so hard and it's sterile. And some of these banded marks stay on the land for years. But what's interesting is that these marks appear usually within a few hundred feet of where the animal's found.
We have done numerous all-night surveillances on that part of Dartmoor. The one thing I can tell you that we've not seen in all the surveillances that we've done, we've not seen another human being, which is quite extraordinary in itself. But we have seen some strange things. We've seen strange light forms. We've actually recorded these on film. On one occasion I saw a pulsing beam of light.
Do these lights come down from the sky, or do they just appear? I mean,
they just seem to appear, and these lights seem to be coming from the floor of the moor. It's really very strange. These things seem to be moving at enormous speed and in an intelligent manner.
I have heard it said that some farmers spot unusual lights in the sky when this activity takes place. Have you any knowledge of that?
Yes, a number of farmers have actually said that they've seen helicopters, or sometimes even unconventional types of helicopters, that operate in the most unusual ways over the farmland, and in the morning they will find animals that have been killed in this manner. A number of farmers have actually reported coming across covert troops actually on the ground.
Right.
And also a number of farmers have given permission for exercises to be conducted on their land. And sometimes in connection to that, animals are found in some ways killed and mutilated. But there seems to be a degree of unusualness about some of the activity. Sometimes the farmers themselves are quite aware of the helicopter activity in the area, because we've got one of the largest bases of Rath Shawbury, which is local to us. Right. And so there's an enormous amount of helicopter activity, but some of these lights don't conform always like helicopters' flight characteristics.
Okay. And could you expand on that? Are they silent, or?
Well, a number of them are not only silent, they stay stationary for maybe an hour or more, and there are described as being a single sphere of red or white. Some farmers have actually used binoculars to view these lights, because they've been so concerned or puzzled by them.
Okay, so are you saying that possibly these lights are not conventional aircraft then?
Well, they wouldn't appear to be conventional in the normal sense of the word. We do know that a number of helicopters have got a stealthing ability on the rotors, so they're virtually quiet. But the farmers say that sometimes they use binoculars to try and identify these lights, and they appear as a red or a white sphere with no anti-collision or normal navigation lights. So they're not totally consistent with normal helicopters, and they do seem to hover for quite extended periods of time. And usually, if they see the lights, then animals are found mutilated in the morning or the following days.
The APFU were clear to point out that they did not have enough evidence to draw a conclusion as to what these lights could be. In my interview with Linda Moulton Howe, she gives a compelling explanation.
And then you come to what Sheriff Tex Graves told me that day in September of 1979, as I was just starting out trying to get to the bottom of what was happening. He said, I'm convinced that what we're dealing with are creatures from outer space.
Okay.
And he said that to me, eye to eye, and when I said, would you please talk to me about this in front of my television camera, because I am working on a documentary and I need this for television, he said no.
Right.
And I heard off the record from many people in law enforcement that this was their personal opinion based on the fact that they had seen beams of light coming out of circles of light in the sky. Some people had actually seen animals rise in beams of light. I set up an appointment with the chief investigator of the animal mutilation phenomenon for the district attorney's office in Trinidad, Colorado. His name was Lou Giraudo, and I remember the eeriness of it. We had been traveling and hearing all of these spooky stories. we were seeing and filming animals with these excisions that were bloodless and no tracks and no explanation, and law enforcement is telling me off the record, we're dealing with creatures from outer space. Who or what do you think is killing and mutilating all of these animals? And Lou Girotto, without missing a beat, without flinching, and without taking his eye away, looked straight at me and said, well, other investigators and I have come to the conclusion that we are dealing with creatures from outer space. And this is with the camera running.
To back up these claims, Linda recalls a conversation she had with American Army Intelligence Lieutenant Philip Corso.
Lieutenant Colonel Philip J. Corso and I got to talk privately, and he had already read some of my work about my animal mutilation investigations, which surprised me, but he said, you are absolutely right. Everything you've reported is accurate. And he said, when I was working in the Pentagon for the General Arthur Trudeau, handpicked by President Dwight Eisenhower, in the Pentagon, I read with my own eyes highly classified United States government documents about the unusual deaths, bloodless and trackless deaths of animals around the world in both hemispheres. And it stated in the documents that the perpetrators were extraterrestrial biological entities, and that the documents were dated as early as 1951. He wanted me to know. That is the answer.
If you bear in mind this is happening worldwide to all life forms, so any agency, whether you're talking government, cults, could not account and physically carry out that vast number and variety of mutilations and the variety of species involved. It'd be impossible.
This, I believe, is a very, very big secret. I believe that this is an issue that is at the very highest level in this country.
And we only find what we find by digging, and the MAF will find more because they are being tipped off by certain veterinary practices, you know, the Veterinary Laboratories Association affiliated veterinary practices, who are probably briefed up to a point to know to recognise this. So immediately that happens, they are tipped off and will dispatch the recovery team to that farm to threaten the farmer on one hand and remove and bury the carcass, literally, you know, from the public mind. So
if we can move it on and say, well, okay, if this is some kind of unearthly phenomena, let's just call it that, and the government knows, or certain parts of people within the civil service, whatever you want to call it, DEFRA, know about this phenomena, possibly more than you.
yeah, that's a doubt.
The reason why they may want to play it down or cover it up is because if they know the true source of whatever it is, and we're not saying what it is, perhaps that knowledge is something that they do not want to be in the public domain.
No, well, I can have some sympathy with that. I mean, it's very disturbing. The whole subject is very disturbing. Farmers have said to me, you know, what's going on here? And they're not getting these answers from their own farmer media, especially the government.
Some people believe that the Earth has been visited by up to 30 or more races of extraterrestrial. I believe that many of these races probably respect the Earth and the human race. Having watched this documentary, however, you may be thinking, have there been cases of human mutilation? For obvious reasons, this is a highly controversial subject, and there are strongly conflicting views on the evidence which is available. I have received a report and police photographs from a case in Brazil from 1988 where the body of a man appears to have similar injuries to those found in mutilated animals. If you do not wish to view these images, look away now. Jaw strip and tongue removed. Surgical holes. Rectal core. internal organs removed. I am not saying that this man was definitely butchered by aliens, but I think it is necessary to at least mention this evidence. I have also received information from a source I believe to be reliable, but have no way of verifying, that cases of human mutilation have occurred in the UK, and that these incidents have all been covered up by the government. The source also claimed that Margaret Thatcher, acting on a request from Ronald Reagan, set up a secret group to deal with and cover up incidents of human mutilation in the UK. The group was later disbanded under John Major. Our government undoubtedly knows more than what's been screened in this documentary. If you find it difficult to believe that an invisible alien predator is killing our animals and possibly taking human beings, then consider this. If our government knows that there is no defence against this threat, what would be the point of alerting the public?